Good evening again, Huskies. We're going to talk a little bit about a very important piece. It is the eating time. And just prior to that, it's just like, do we really have to wear this mask all the time? This is the time we get to take off the mask. And let me tell you what, that's a very important time because we want to take the maximum safety precautions that we can do on a daily basis whenever the masks are coming down and we're eating. So we're going to cover the lunchroom procedures. Kids are going to walk down there. They're going to be led by the teacher down to the cafeteria. They'll be able to choose a lunch that's prepared by our food service and child nutrition department, or bring your own. Excellent find there. And at the end of recess, we'll talk about that physical outdoor activity that we get to do. Sometimes it's called recess, but it's not, I guess, long enough really to call it recess. But it's a physical activity. We get outside once we learn our procedures and go throughout the day. So maximum safety when you get down to the lunchroom. Very, very important. Mr. Guthrie, what are the things that we've got in place for us this year?
Well, there's no substitute for great procedures, and I'm proud of our planning this year and getting ready for the cafeteria when the masks come down. And obviously that's a very important 35 minutes where we want to take the greatest amount of precaution with our students. They're going to come down staggered as they normally would so that we do not have the bulk of our students arriving at the same time. So they'll be spread out as much as possible. They'll go through our cafeteria in an orderly fashion like they always would. And when they come out, we're going to have tables ready for them, spread out so that if a student is what we call a traditional student, which is 5 days a week here on campus, those students, of which there could be a maximum right now of 114 on any given day, they're going to be spread out on our cafeteria floor at 2 to a table. We have those marked, and there will be numbers where a student will sit. So if your child happens to sit at table number 54, that will become, for I'd say a moderate amount of time, his or her assigned seat. And so number 54 will be where that student goes every single day, so that we know all the time which students are in what locations. This is when the masks come down, when they're seated and they start eating. And at that point, they can carry on great conversations with their neighbors, but they're not going to get up and ever move locations. So we're going to become a bit more regimented this year about staying seated, being safe, 6 feet away from people in front of them as well as people to the side. And during that time, they get a great opportunity to have a meal. Obviously, if they need to use the restroom or get up and get a drink, go back and get a utensil. That's not going to be a problem at all. We're going to have great cafeteria supervisors for those purposes. Our hybrid students, which only come 2 days a week. So we have some that come on Monday and Tuesday. We have some that come on Wednesday and Thursday. And by the very nature of being a hybrid student, we want to keep those students isolated, or separated, I should say, from the traditional students. It's a bit safer in that respect.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so our hybrid students will have 2 locations that they will be seated that will be different than our traditionals. Our hybrids will go to our stage area where we can put up to 14 students, 6 feet apart at long tables. And the overflow from there will go into our gymnasium where we have tables spread out with a supervisor designed just to be in the gymnasium, and they'll be spread out at tables that are marked as well.
Yeah, it's a great plan. 6 feet, mask down, 3 different locations, serving the kids in the best. It sounds like a great plan.
Well, I think a lot of people have worked hard at it. I know our supervisors are going to take it very seriously, and we want you to know that your students, even though they're going to have an assigned seat, we still want them to enjoy themselves. We still want them to feel like they're coming to a great school year, because they are coming to a great school year. And so recess is going to go on as planned. It'll look a little different this year than it's looked in the past, but we're still going to get outside. We're going to enjoy some fresh air with our masks on.
That's right, masks go on.
We're still going to socially distance, but we're going to play some games. We're going to enjoy each other, and we're going to get some exercise in the sunshine.
We get to still play some games?
I'm glad you said games, because Coach Tuttle and I just put in an order this afternoon for some of the very best outside recess equipment so that they can do games that are conducive to social distancing. So some examples of things that your students can look forward to: we're still going to have Foursquare. We're still going to, in addition to that, add in volleyball this year.
Thanks to our PTO for getting the net and the poles out there for us. Thank you very much, PTO, for that.
Hula hoopers, we got you covered. We're going to do it 6 feet away. Jump rope, double dutch, all of those things still going on. We're going to add in a little wiffle ball for anybody that wants to take a shot at that, and some frisbee. So there are a lot of different, I think, very engaging activities out there.
Can we play kickball too?
You can play kickball.
I love kickball.
We're going to make sure when you're running to first that we give a little bit of leeway between that first baseman and the runner. But yes, kickball's a go.
I love it.
Now, obviously, with everything that's in place, we have to restrict some games.
Some games are really close contact, and it's like if you're not touching, you're not playing the game that much.
And so those we eliminate because we know no matter how much we tell a student, stay 6 feet apart, there's some games that make that impossible.
Absolutely. Chess is one of the, well, maybe not, we're not probably not thinking chess.
Not chess, but some of the ones in the past that we've had a lot of fun with that we're going to have to curtail this year. Touch football, basketball. Our boys and our girls get very physical with both of those.
Naturally.
Soccer, and you would think, well, soccer, why would that be a problem? Well, our students love soccer, and they go up and they check each other very closely. And the scrum, as it were, can get pretty physical and pretty close.
Yeah, it happens real quick. And it's, you're thinking, well, can't they just want to practice kicking at the goal? Yes, they would do that for a little bit, but then it will always turn into someone trying to steal the ball. It's just
always
the way it is.
Turns into
That's
that.
part of the game.
Baseball, which has always been restricted because of how hard the ball is. And probably our most famous game, the Gaga Pit.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the tough one. And I'm going to try to work with our students to take advantage of the other games. But Gaga Pit, as of right now, it's a no-fly zone because there's never an area that has more congestion, more physical contact than our Gaga Pit.
Yeah, it's well said. We'll sanitize our hands when we leave for lunch. We'll have the pumps ready there. That way, whenever they touch the equipment, they've got sanitized hands. When they come in, we'll put the ball, the inflatables, and all the other things in a receptacle to hold them. We'll clean those after the kid. A new set comes out for the 6th grade. Then they'll also sanitize their hands when they come back into the building. That way, we've got clean hands on the way out, clean hands on the way in.
And as you pointed out so correctly, clean inflatables that are separate for 5th grade.
That's right.
And for 6th grade. And that's just us investing in our students. That added measure of safety is a very small thing to do in order to keep the inflatables separate. They're also going to be separate from PE. So in theory, we're going to have minimal hands on the inflatables, and those hands that are on them will have been washed twice.
Yeah, I think it's a good plan. Safety, number one priority that we're trying to build these things into. We're trying to also make sure that there are some times for fun. You got to have some fun in there. So we're going to work in our PE department. They're coming up with crafting things. The team sports are going to take a little bit of a hit right now. And we see that all around. And it's really hard to kind of monitor. There's lots of restrictions on those. We're going to keep it simple, keep it fun, keep it upbeat. And even for instance, there'll be a rainy day or too cold to go outside day. We'll put some projections up on the screen, help make that day enjoyable.
We have all of our students facing a very large projector, digital projector, and we will have some funny cartoons up there, maybe some appropriate YouTube videos. We might even let a guest teacher come down and do a little singing on our PA.
I like that.
We want them to enjoy themselves, but the thing that will be a little difficult, and parents, you can help us on this by supporting it, the assigned seats are very, very crucial in order to be able to track backwards if we ever needed to go look for a situation in which a student might have COVID.
Yeah, and it's one of those things you've got to make sure the assigned seats contact tracing is huge. Yeah, it's hard to kind of, there might be, for instance, when someone comes down with the symptoms, and we've got to be able to go back in there once a positive case is identified and find out those who are probable close contact. Great news in the cafeteria. We do this right. The 6 feet around, we should be outside that 6 foot barrier for more than 15. We should be fine on that thing there. So that's a good thing. This is a plan that we think that's where feasible. This is really where we can actually pull this off. If they get up to use the restroom, we have signals for that. They put their mask back on. They'll go to the bathroom, come back. Share wall won't be around this year. We won't be able to compost, and that's okay. We'll get through this and hopefully back to normal sooner than later. Yeah, that'd be great. Good plan.
Thank you.
Good plan. Thanks very much. That's our lunch procedures and outside physical activity. More to come.